This past season, the Pittsburgh Penguins added another arena to their total arena history in terms of where they have played NHL games at. A lot of NHL teams did, as the Utah Hockey Club came into the NHL, and the Penguins played their first ever game there, which was a 3-2 overtime win, with Sidney Crosby scoring in overtime, getting his first couple of points against a technically new franchise. The Penguins, obviously being a team that has played for over 50 plus years in the NHL, have played in a lot of arenas. However, they've only ever played in 2 home arenas for the most part. And for both educational entertainment purposes and kind of continuing my series of every something in Penguins history, we're going to go over every arena in Penguins history. And for the most part, there's only been 2. I am including some special ones here that we'll get to towards the end of the video. But the Penguins have played in 2 arenas for their entire history, basically. Home, of course. It all starts in 1961. The Penguins don't come until 1967, but the Mellon Arena, or the Civic Arena, the Igloo, the Civic Auditorium, the Mellon, whatever you want to call it, that was built in 1961 for opera. And the Penguins took it over when they came. Didn't take it over, but the Penguins moved there and became their home once they came around in 1967. Now, this arena had already hosted hockey games before. The Pittsburgh Hornets were the first team to ever play a hockey game there. But when the Penguins came, capacity had to be increased from around 10,000 to where it ended at hockey before it was demolished, 17,132. That's okay. That's pretty good, pretty standard. The cost to build was $22 million, and it took about 3.5 years. Now, the Penguins obviously came along in 1967 with Jack McGregor and Peter Block. Go watch my owner's video. And they played their first game on October 11th, 1967 against the Montreal Canadiens, which they lost 2-1. Andy Bathgate not only scored the first goal in Mellon Arena history, and he did score, obviously, the first goal in Pittsburgh Penguins history, the Hall of Famer. Since it's an arena that no longer exists, their last regular season game was April 8th, 2010, a 7-3 whooping over the Islanders. The Islanders used to be really bad in like the 2010s. That game, a lot of alumni were in attendance over the entire course of the Penguins' history. It was really a celebration night, and Sidney Crosby scored his 500th career NHL point that night as well. Now, the Penguins made the playoffs that season, so that wasn't the last game that was played in that arena for the Penguins. That game was on May 12th, 2010, a 5-2 loss to the Montreal Canadiens in 7 games in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Jordan Staal scored the last goal in that game, which in turn was the last goal a Penguin has scored at Mellon Arena. And it kind of is fitting that the Montreal Canadiens beat the Penguins in 1967, and then many years later in 2010, they bookend it and beat them again, eliminating them. That was the Yara Halak year. So Mellon Arena now is, of course, well, what remains of it, the former site of it, is across from PPG Paints Arena. Off to the side, it's parking lot now. I've parked there many times for events. That's also where the big screen is for playoff games, Mario's big screen. Other notable things that happened in Mellon Arena's hockey tenure, I'm not going to include all the other stuff like, oh, the Beatles played here or whatever. No, like, this is a hockey video. It did host 4 Stanley Cup finals and 1 raising. I thought it'd be fun to add like the raisings, as in like, oh, the Stanley Cup was awarded on that ice. And unfortunately, the Penguins have never won a Stanley Cup on home ice. That raising was in 2008 against the Red Wings, where the Penguins lost. But the other 4 Stanley Cup finals were 91 and 92. The Penguins won both of those on the road. 2009, the Penguins won that in Detroit at Joe Louis Arena, and then 2008, the Red Wings won it on the Penguins ice. It also hosted the 1990 NHL All-Star Game. That is the only All-Star Game the city of Pittsburgh has ever hosted to this day. And then obviously, as many people know, it was the first major professional sports stadium with a retractable roof. It was never used for an NHL game or a Winter Classic. Would have been perfect there. In total at Mellon Arena, when things are all said and done, the Penguins played 1,667 games played, 858 wins, 576 losses, 205 ties, because ties were a thing back then, and 28 overtime or shootout losses for a .585 points percentage. That's a lot of Penguins history right there. And real quick, other teams that played at Mellon Arena. I am cheat sheeting here. I don't care. It's my video. I don't have to be super professional in this. The Pittsburgh Wrens, the Pittsburgh Pipers, the Pittsburgh Condors, the Pittsburgh Piranhas, the Pittsburgh Explosion. Those are all basketball teams. In hockey, the Pittsburgh Hornets of the AHL, the Pittsburgh Phantoms. In tennis, the Pittsburgh Triangles. In soccer, the Pittsburgh Spirit and the Pittsburgh Stingers. And in football, the Pittsburgh Gladiators. In lacrosse, the Pittsburgh Bulls and the Pittsburgh Crossfire have all called Mellon Arena home at one point. But Mellon Arena, I unfortunately never got to go inside Mellon Arena ever. I really became a hockey fan truly after it was demolished. I would like to see the Penguins maybe do something, like maybe put like a plaque, like the Pittsburgh Pirates recently put something in the ground of where Three Rivers Stadium used to be. Like it was where like Roberto Clemente took his first at bat. It's just a thing on the sidewalk outside of where Heinz Field Acrisure Stadium is now in the casino. Hey, this is the exact spot where this happened. I'd like to see the Penguins maybe do something like that. Like, hey, here's where Mario Lemieux scored this goal or something, just in the parking lot or whatever. It'd be a cool little tourist attraction. So moving on to PPG Paints Arena, without getting fully into the backstory, you can go watch my owner video for the background on that. The Penguins really needed an arena in the early 2000s and into the 2010s. Land for PPG Paints Arena was bought all the way back in 2000. It took 10 years for them to finally get the arena built. There was a deal in place around 2005 to get an arena done. That came with a Mississippi casino called Isle of Capri. This is Penguins history here. But that deal fell through, so an arena probably would have been built by like 06, 07. But that deal fell through and the Penguins had to start all over again, and that's really where the Kansas City rumors come in with Spirit Center. However, on March 12th, 2007, the Penguins officially made a deal to build the frickin' arena and keep the Penguins in Pittsburgh. And the next day, during a home game, Mario Lemieux came on the ice and said his famous, "Your Penguins will remain in Pittsburgh." He sounds like JFK. And the arena was built in 2010, fully done and everything. It cost $321 million to build it, and it took about 2 years. The maximum capacity for hockey as of right now is 18,087. I don't know if that 87 additional seats was intentional for Sid or what, but in the summer of 2010, before the season started, Mario and Sid took their first skate on the ice, and just because Mario's Mario, he made sure that he waited an extra second for Crosby to take his first steps on the ice. I read that in a bunch of other research I did for this video. I don't know if that's the media overblowing it or if that's something he actually meant to do. But a thing that he definitely meant to do for showmanship was in the Penguins' first game, Mario's magic potion. Before Mellon Arena was destroyed, he took a chunk of ice, melted it down into a little bottle, and then during the Penguins' first game at PPG Paints Arena, he poured that ice onto PPG Paints Arena, or Consol Energy Center at the time, to, I don't know, give it a little, like, I don't know, it's the same ice, I don't know. Now, the first Penguins game at PPG Paints Arena, at the time Consol Energy Center, was October 7th, 2010 against the Philadelphia Flyers, the first game of the regular season that year. The Penguins lost 3-2, and Tyler Kennedy scored the first goal for the Penguins in that game, so the first goal at Consol Energy Center. And then obviously, since this arena is still active, we don't have to go over a last category. Penguins obviously went to the Stanley Cup Final in 2016 and 2017. As I mentioned back there, the Penguins won both of those Stanley Cups on the road in San Jose and Nashville. So no raises yet at Consol Energy Center, PPG Paints Arena. The city of Pittsburgh and Consol Energy Center, PPG Paints Arena also hosted the 2013 and 2021 Frozen Fours, which your Robert Morris University Colonials, my alma mater, hosted. Didn't play in, but hosted. I got to work a couple games of the 2021 Frozen Four. It was cool. Other teams that have called PPG Paints Arena home include the Pittsburgh Power of the AFL, and then the Robert Morris University Colonials, Duquesnes, Pitt for men's basketball, and in the case of RMU, hockey. In total for PPG Paints Arena, of course, this is as of the end of the 2024-25 season, the Penguins have played 577 games played, 367 wins, 159 losses, 0 ties, and 51 overtime or shootout losses for a 680 points percentage. So that rounds out the two main arenas the Penguins have played for in their history. Real quick, I want to go over some other miscellaneous arenas that I found very interesting. When making this video, I wanted to include arenas that the Penguins have played as the home team in. Usually that comes at home in Pittsburgh, but there have been some special occasions where the Penguins played a regular season or playoff game as a home team not in Pittsburgh, or not at PPG or Mellon Arena. The first one of note came in Japan at the Saitama Super Arena in Saitama, Japan during the 2001 Japan games. There were 2 Japan games, but I don't know why it was called one. I think one is like a sponsor or something. The Penguins played against the Nashville Predators and split that international series 1-1. They also played a home game in Sweden and will next season. We'll get to that in a second. 2008, this one's remembered mostly because that season the Penguins won the Stanley Cup, so it all started in Sweden. At the 2008 Premier Series, the Penguins split a 2-game series against the Ottawa Senators at the Ericsson Globe in Stockholm, Sweden. Then you have the outdoor games that took place in Pittsburgh but weren't at Mellon or PPG. The Penguins played at the time, Heinz Field, now Acrisure Stadium, the 2011 Winter Classic against the Capitals, which they lost, and the 2017 Stadium Series against the Flyers, which they won. So a total record at Heinz Field of 1-1. Then also I wanted to include this too because the Penguins were technically the home team in these games. Scotiabank Arena in Toronto during the bubble 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs. The Penguins lost that series in 4 games to the Montreal Canadiens, winning 1 game and losing the other 3. And then, of course, this calendar year, this upcoming season, the Penguins will play in the 2025 Global Series on November 14th and 16th against the Nashville Predators in Stockholm, Sweden. And then one final quick tidbit, Madison Square Garden, fittingly and understandably, is the most played in arena the Penguins have played in as the away team. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think the Penguins could do to make PPG Paints Arena even better? I think it's a very nice arena. However, I've been to a couple arenas. I think T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas is the nicest arena I've been to. Little Caesars Arena in Detroit is also very nice. I'm not an architect or anything, so I don't really know anything that I would like the Penguins to improve on outside of retire more numbers. Maybe a more, like a statue, or maybe a Yager statue would be cool. And that idea I had earlier about maybe a tribute to Mellon Arena. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below, and let's go Pens.